Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight's live show. We have a very exciting show ahead. So, welcome to episode 3 of the workshop sponsored by Justly. I'm going to let people join right now. If you're just joining, welcome. You can watch the show on the Flutie Foundation's LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So, comment right now. If you're just tuning in, comment hello and where you're from, and we'll give you a shout out. Before I introduce tonight's guests and give you a little rundown of the show, I'm just going to let the audience start to gather. We're really excited to kick off tonight's show. I'm just going to get right into it, actually. Okay, so tonight's show, episode 3, is hosted by our friend David Sharif. David is this amazing autism self-advocate, author, and motivational speaker, and he will be hosting tonight's entire show. So we have 3 amazing guests joining us. We have Brian Klopman from the Nicholas Center, Sherry Sains from Extra Special Teas, and Sara Bradford from the SJ Childs podcast. She's an author and a mom. And David will be interviewing our 3 guests tonight. Before we kick it off to David, I want to give a special thanks to tonight's presenting sponsor, Justly. Justly is a global crowdfunding platform that provides investors of all sizes access to privately held companies. The companies on the Justly platform do the right thing and have a focus on solutions that improve the environment, social justice, and corporate governance. So thank you so much to Justly. And I'm going to kick it right off to David right now. So, David, welcome to tonight's show.
Liz, hi, Liz. It is such an honor to be here. And for the first time, I am hosting a workshop with another organization that I am so lucky to have come in contact with. And I owe you a huge thank you for this amazing opportunity to get my voice out there.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much for hosting tonight's show. Really, this whole show was your idea. You're inspired by you. So thank you so much for joining us tonight and hosting. Can you introduce yourself to everyone who's tuning in?
Yeah, to everybody who is tuning in on the show through the Flutie Foundation's social media platforms, welcome to episode 3. My name is David Sharif, global autism advocate, motivational speaker, and author. So, for today's episode, I am going to be discussing how I define effective communication. Before I get into that, I am aware that there are going to be some questions and comments in the chat, so I will keep an eye out for them when they pop up, and we will be doing a Q&A at the end, so don't forget that. Now let's get into it. A lot of you will be asking me, how do I define effective communication? I define it in 3 words: clarity, attention, and honesty. Clarity means being direct when expressing yourself. Self expression can be full of anxiety or it can be easy, but it's all about you and the kind of impact it leaves on you. If you want to engage with others in a respectful and appropriate way, you have to be able to communicate directly. When I was working for my grandfather's company, Partners for Progressive Israel, I did a lot of administrative work. So I spoke to my supervisor that I am a visual learner. So if there is a specific spreadsheet that I should follow, please send it to me and I can emulate it the way you would like me to. And I did emulate a spreadsheet about the donations that were made to the nonprofit. Attention is a very important one. One of my past and biggest struggles to this moment is the ability to read between the lines when listening to somebody. Reading between the lines is all about noticing the communication style of the person you are supporting. For 2 years and 2 months, I have been working with a human services company based in New York City called AHRC, where I support neurodiverse adults. Some things that I have learned to be aware of is how they communicate. Sometimes I can hear them well, sometimes I cannot. And if I have trouble after hearing or talking with them multiple times, I would ask for a colleague to come over and help me understand this person and how this person would communicate. Specifically, a coworker who has worked very closely with this individual for a great amount of time. So, attention is all about adapting to how the communication is being passed down to you and how you are passing it to that person. Honesty is very important, and if you are open to it and approach it maturely, then that will show your supervisors and the people around you that you have grown up very quickly and you show what it takes to be yourself. Honesty is all about admitting and learning from your mistakes. So, when I learn from my mistakes, I process the situation as much and by taking as much time as I need to. When I was receiving or when I received my research grant during my senior year of college, I was conducting a study about success and challenges for students on the autism spectrum in post secondary education. When my faculty mentor and I were going over the slides, I accidentally forgot to put the citation sources of where I was pulling out the images. So, how did I fix that mistake? I went back to the internet and I looked very closely as to where I found it. And if I couldn't find it, then I would pull out another one and remember to cite it, and that it goes onto the poster when preparing for presentations. And what I have learned from that mistake is making sure that I have all the sources that I need to best prepare for the presentation. But also, if I were to share my research at other conferences or events, it's mandatory and people will look closely at it. So that's one thing that I have learned when making a mistake. So that pretty much concludes my definitions and thoughts about effective communication. Before I go any further into other specific things that I will be discussing, I am now going to pass the microphone to the Flutie Foundation's senior marketing strategist, Liz Monroe.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for sharing your definitions of effective communication. So I'm just going to pop in here with some quick questions for you. So,
Mm-hmm.
firstly, can you tell us how effective communication has specifically helped you in the workplace and how it has really helped you accept people around you and people accept you?
Well, before I start thinking about that in a very close way, before I got a better understanding about acceptance in the workplace, during my college life, I participated in employment readiness workshops that lasted once a week for 12 weeks. The point of those workshops was to practice communication styles and do role plays of how we behave, communicate, and accept those around us, and what it takes to actually succeed in the workplace. And from all the training that I have received, I have learned and adapted to the capabilities by caring what I have learned and observing what others have learned, and the ability to find a way to accept them. Now that I am able to show what I'm capable of, they accept me. And when I start to interact with them more, I accept them. Acceptance is meant to be a two-way system. You can never rely on yourself to just have one person accept you. You have to accept the other person as well. And that is how interaction is applied.
Great, thank you. So, actually, I'm going to take what you just said, acceptance, and jump into the next question. It's about to be Autism Acceptance Month, which is April. Big month coming up. I'm sure you have a lot of events planned. I'm sure you're going to be very busy. So, can you tell us just your thoughts? What is the best way for people to be allies of neurodiverse people, people with autism, not just in April, but all the time? How can people promote acceptance for autism in April and beyond?
Okay, I'm very happy that you mentioned that because autism acceptance is not just in April, it is forever and always, and it's a never ending grind. So, Liz, when it comes to accepting an autistic person or what it takes to feel closely connected with them, is the ability to process what they are giving to you and observing how they are learning. And it takes an undefined amount of time to actually see how they are progressing. Some of them may talk verbally, some of them may not, some may just say one word or just say one sentence and not really talk in some kind of way that I am right now. Just be aware that every autistic person you encounter is going to communicate differently. So process what is being given. And if you actually notice something that they really like or that they like to do, then use their interests to try and practice conversation with them before taking them to um, a challenging level where they have to learn to adapt to new topics, because focusing on topics that interest them is meant to be a comfortable method, and that's something that most people with autism like to stick with. But again, every person is different. Some people with autism have progressed really fast in learning to adapt quickly than others. So that's just something we have to acknowledge, and it happens differently to everybody.
Love it. Thank you, David. Before I ask my last and final question, I just want to remind the audience, if you're watching, make sure you stay tuned for 3 exciting guests coming up, and be sure to drop any questions that you have for David or any of the upcoming guests in the chat, and we will have a special Q&A at the end of this live. So stay tuned and chat your questions. So David, you are very, very busy. You're an author, you're a motivational speaker, you're a global autism self advocate. Can you tell us, can you share with the audience why it's so important to use your voice to help others?
It is important to use my voice because as I said back earlier, in effective communication, if you learn to express yourself in any way, shape, or form, then you are getting your voice out there. It doesn't matter if it's through a workshop or just in one on one practice, through one on one coaching. It can happen in any way. And I have been fortunate to have become a stronger advocate thanks to one of my amazing inspirations. um, I will mention 3 of them who have gone at the higher levels of autism advocacy: Dr. Stephen Shore, professor of special education at Adelphi University; Dr. Temple Grandin, expert and visual learner on animal behavior; and my most amazing friend and who has become a great ally, Dr. Carrie Magro, who released another book about autistics and individuals sharing their story, which I can get further detail into if you have a question for that. So, autism advocacy has influenced me because of those inspirations. And mostly when I was in my teens and adolescence, I was writing speeches about what it's like to be autistic and what have I accomplished during my autism career before I started learning independence. And then during those times, I had other opportunities to speak. And now that my schooling has come to an end, and if I choose to pursue further education, I am now able to get my voice out there in any way possible. And that's what matters to me the most. And I will always do what I can to accomplish my goals to possibly speak at prestigious autism events where there are large gatherings and even famous people that I never knew before.
Amazing. Thanks, David. So without further ado, I think it's time to invite on our first guest of the night.
Brian Klopman, my wonderful friend who I have been so lucky and fortunate to have connected with since the pandemic. How are you today?
I'm very well, David. Same to you, bud. Meeting you has really opened my eyes and was a great inspiration to me. Hearing your story and hearing your everything experiences just blew me away of how incredible you are.
That is so thoughtful of you. So, before I ask you anything, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm Brian Klopman. I am a community inclusion specialist at the Nicholas Center. I work with individuals on the autism spectrum, supporting them and I guess allowing and helping them through life skills and work related skills in and around the community of Port Washington.
Oh, great. I forgot to ask quickly, where are you from?
I am from Syosset on
Which
Long
is,
Island.
oh,
On Long
okay.
Island, yeah.
Great. I'm happy I covered that. So now my first question is tell us, or what are some of the biggest challenges that you face right now?
Um, One challenge I think would be that not someone's best today is not going to be someone's tomorrow. They might have a great day um, today, and tomorrow come in and be different. And at the Nicholas Center, we're always there. We're always there to uh, support them, whatever they're going through, and help them have the best day possible.
That is a very great answer. Now, describe your communication strategies.
Um, so I would see where the participant is at, and I would adapt to how they're feeling, how they're doing, body language, maybe something like catch the good, as we like to say at the Nicholas Center. If we see that a participant is really gravitating towards something that they're working on, then we're going to go and say you're doing an amazing job and verbally praise them and let them know that we're there no matter what and giving them good support.
Amazing. So, provide at least two or three excuse me, provide at least two or three tips you would give to help others understand you or how to best support the individuals you may work with?
Yeah. So, one tip that a lot of people, I think, should know, and some people overlook, is that they hear autism and they think immediately that this individual can't do a certain thing. That is not true at all. Um, so I would say, look, don't judge a book by its cover, because the participants that I work with at the Nicholas Center, they come in every day. Some of them have jobs at our partner company, Spectrum, and some of them have worked in those settings, and some of them um, do such amazing work that needs to be seen in and around the community, because they, outside of the Nicholas Center, they might be overlooked as something, as just another face in the crowd, but they truly are bright and talented and amazing individuals.
Wonderful. So, um, can you tell us a little bit more about your job and your impact on the individuals you serve?
Of course. So the job that I do, I like to think of it as I wear a lot of hats, because I'm a community inclusion specialist. So what I do is, we're in a group, we go out, we do programs, in our inclusion program, we have a group that we're called the Navigators. So we go around the community, doing uh doing uh sorry we do things like port pantry. So we give um items that people are in need of, that people less fortunate are in need of, and we go and make bags, and we have this whole community that we work out of a church, and we deliver them to different places, and we give them to the less fortunate. And then there's other uh community uh, partners that we work with, when we go and we have a community garden that we grow, and we make fruits and vegetables, and we give them to people in need. Um, and um, so what I, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, so how does job impact the individuals? Is they get that sense of they are doing something greater. They feel so good about themselves, when in society may look down on them, but as I touched upon later, they are so bright and so brilliant at what they do, and they really they shine.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, what do you hope to accomplish in the future?
Well, I'm an advocate, and already I'm an advocate, and I would love to further advance being an advocate for individuals on the autism spectrum, and to show, as you said, the three levels that I agree with you, David, on how one should communicate, and one, one should be around individuals on the spectrum. And I just want to make a further the positive change that we're doing here.
Wonderful. So, thank you, Brian, for um, being a guest on this wonderful show. It was an honor to interview you.
Honor is
Um,
all mine, bud. It was a pleasure.
thank you. So now I'm gonna pass the microphone to Liz. Are you there? Are we moving to you or
Yes.
okay?
So thank you again to Brian, and thank you for all of the work that you do at the Nicholas Center. If you have any questions for Brian, make sure to put them in the chat, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of this. You have some amazing guests coming up. So right after I'm done speaking, you'll hear from Sara Bradford, who's a mom and a host of a podcast show named the SJ Child Show, and an author. And then our finale guest is Sherry, who is the founder of Extra Special Teas. So you won't want to miss that. So stay tuned. And I want to again thank our amazing sponsors, our presenting sponsors of the workshop, Justly. Back to you, David.
Okay. Thank you, Liz, for giving me the microphone. Now I am ready to introduce another great friend that I have come in contact with earlier this year. She has shown what it takes to be a strong mother for those on the spectrum and how remarkable it is to even be a spouse for somebody on the spectrum. And her career has absolutely changed her life for the better. So now I am proud to introduce the next guest, Sara Bradford. Hello, Sara. How are you?
Oh, hi, David. Oh, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me and asking me to be here.
It is my pleasure. So, Sara, I would like you to introduce yourself. Where are you from and where do you work?
Okay, so I am from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I am a mom first, a wife. My kids and husband all are on the spectrum. And it's given me the opportunity to create an amazing journey for us all. I have 7 children's books, all about special needs. And I also started a podcast called the SJ Child Show, where I bring value to families through education and resources. And I think one of my new goals now, David, is going to be to interview as many autism advocates as I can ever find. So now they know where to come, right?
Oh, I, if I know, I am so fortunate to have come in contact with many autism advocates. And one thing I want people to know is that even though we are still in this crazy and unexpected pandemic, there is never a right or wrong way to find people who may have similar interests as you. And
Yeah.
I have found at least, I'd say, more than 5 autism self advocates I have further developed my friendships with. So
That's
I have
great.
also been providing sources to them. But now on to the real thing. Sara, can you please tell us what are some of the biggest challenges you face?
As a mom, I really started to realize when I found out my husband was also on the spectrum, how much accommodating I had made for him as a wife and as a partner. And it started to make sense that I needed to apply those same ideas to my children. And I have one that's out of the house, so I can really only go off the 2 that are here now. But one thing I've really found is mindful parenting. And what that means to me is really meeting your child at the level they're at. I think that that is such an important part of creating a trust relationship with your child. So that would be what I would say is my biggest thing.
All right. That's a very sweet and heartwarming response. So now my next question is, please describe your communication strategies.
Yeah, so I wrote a few things down, and so right now, at the level I'm at, I'm homeschooling my kids. So for me, it's about effective communication in teaching, and really finding your child's learning style to be able to teach them the right kind of information. So I have a couple just little things that I like to use and give other parents for a couple subjects. For math, for example, kids love Minecraft, and there are so many ways we can use kids' interests and their strengths to help them in their weaker or challenging spots. And for ours, math is challenging, and so I thought, well, what if we can start building blocks in Minecraft? So that's a simple way to kind of engage with your child in their interest as well as help teach. Something else is like spelling with Scrabble tiles, or um, I think that is fun. Or you could even do like games where you find the missing letter and it's hidden around the house, and you make it just fun and interactive games with your kids that really help tie in learning as well.
Great. So, the same question I have asked before. Provide at least 2 or 3 tips you would give to help others understand you or how to best support the individuals you may work with.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important to, number one, treat your child like the human being that they are. That is my most important thing, is humane response and reaction, and realize that underneath every behavior is a human need. And so to try to really look at the human need and making sure that that's what's being addressed when looking how to strategize skills or other types of communication for your children.
All right. So, here is my last question for you. What do you hope to accomplish in the future?
Well, like I said, after my goal of having all of the advocates on my show, and then I'm working on something really special in my community. I have partnered up with an autism real estate specialist. She also does sensory design, and we're working with our local children's hospital to help train the emergency room staff, as well as turn one of the emergency room triage centers into a sensory friendly room for when those types of situations occur. So I'm hoping that we can just continue to do these kinds of amazing things for our community.
Sara, that is so amazing.
Thank
And,
you.
and I'm so grateful for how we have connected. And thank you for taking
Yeah,
your time to be a part of this amazing workshop that I am hosting. So,
I'm really
we,
proud of you. Thank you so much for
of
having
course,
me.
now, if I'm correct, I'm going to pass the microphone again to Liz.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much, Sara, for joining our show. Everyone who's tuning in right now, if you have any questions at all for Sara or Brian, two of our guests that we just heard from, make sure you comment them in the chat, and we will pull them up for our Q&A at the end of this show. And without further ado, I think we're just going to go right into the third guest, who is our friend and partner. David, you want to take it away?
Yes, I will. So, I am now proud to introduce somebody I am meeting for the first time. Sherry Sains, the founder of Extra Specialties. So I'm excited to learn more from her. So, hi, Sherry. How are you today?
Hi, David. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. Very excited.
Well, I am too. And actually, I would owe Alyssa and Liz for actually inviting you because I had trouble with trying to find a third guest who would be here. And after tirelessly searching for somebody, we were very lucky to have found you, and we are grateful to have you be a part of this workshop.
Well,
So
thank
to kick things off, please introduce yourself, where you are from, and where you work.
My name is Cherry Sains. I live with my husband, Scott, and our 29-year-old son, Jake, who's challenged with autism. We live out in the beautiful Berkshire Mountains of Massachusetts. My son, Jake, is, when he turned 22 and aged out of public school, we wanted to find a more inclusive environment for him. And finding a community that he could be involved in. So we created Extra Specialties, which is a nonprofit tea house that's operated by differently abled special needs adults. Then we opened that tea house in Great Barrington in 2016.
Wow, that is amazing. Oh, and before I get into the next question, I would like to share a fun fact that I have cousins and relatives who live in the Berkshire, so I have been to that area multiple times. And if I am in there, would love to check out Extra Specialties. So that leads me to asking, tell us about the impact of Extra Specialties.
Well, I really could not be prouder of the impact that we call it EST for short. Extra Specialties is kind of a long word to say. So, but EST has, I feel like, impacted the lives of so many young adults here in our community. I think, when children are challenged with autism or other special needs, when they turn 22, they age out of public education. And the choices that we were given for Jake was basically like a residential program or a day program that were away from the community, or he could have just stayed home all day long. So we wanted Jake and other special needs adults with similar challenges to be included and not excluded from the community. And so that's why we opened up Extra Specialties in this beautiful Victorian house that's just 100 feet off of Main Street in the heart of Great Barrington. We wanted to be right in the center of the community.
Wow.
And our participants are engaged in various activities throughout the day. They're able to mingle throughout the community, running errands and being part of various community activities that we have. And we feel like it's just being able to help them accomplish those goals for them personally has been amazing. Our mantra is we bring belonging because we feel like we bring purpose and a feeling of hope to our participants and their family.
Amazing. So the next question is, tell us, or what are some of the biggest challenges you face?
Well, I think in the beginning, the initial challenge was, I think, to modify our Victorian house there in the middle of Great Barrington, so that it met with all like the state and local laws and guidelines. I think anyone who opens a business could identify with that. There are a lot of hoops to jump through to accomplish all those things. But we wanted to not only meet, but to exceed those standards so that we could create this safe and inviting and warm environment for the participants in our program, not only for them, but for people traveling through the area, so that they felt that they had like a safe haven to come to and bring their children or family to. There's no judgment there at Extra Specialties. So I hope that, David, that when you're in the area, that you'll drop in and see us, so that you can experience Extra Specialties. But we've soon found that Victorian house that we worked so hard to fix up was too small to meet all the needs, because we started with just like 3 participants, and we started growing. We also make a lot of products, and we make like these tea bones. These are like little dog bones that are infused with tea, and we've come up with like 3 or 4 of our own teas, and so we needed lots of room to make these products. So we had to use the church across the street, and we were constantly going back and forth to do that, and to create those products, and to make our gluten-free products. We make a lot of gluten-free baked goods. And then there was the challenge of the pandemic. And so when it hit, we were focused to close our doors to the public for about 3 months. And then we just offered like takeout service for about 8 months. It was extremely challenging, as I'm sure most everyone can identify with during that time. And we immediately created Zoom programming for the participants in our program and a Google Classroom so that we could continue to work on customer service skills and social skills, and really just to have each other, to be a part of a group during that time. I know was very important to me, and I felt like it was really important to everybody in our group. So I'm proud to say that there were only 2 weeks in March of 2020 that we were down. Other than that, our group has been together now for about 6 years.
Wonderful. So, I am not sure if I asked you this question yet, so please correct me if I'm wrong. Describe your communication strategies.
Well, I think there are many different types of communication. As a business, in the beginning, we had a really hard time, I think, getting the word out. So we developed like a lot of like social media pages and things like that. We developed, I feel like, amazing website. We've just now upgraded it. And it's extraspecialties.org if anybody wants to check it out. But that really gave us a really great way to get our mission across. But just in terms of as an employer and how I worked with the people in teaching them communication or helping them with those communication skills, we learned that we needed to have very clear communication plans. And because we felt like each one of our participants are unique and they have their own set of skills and challenges. So we offer like one-to-one staff guidance to the most challenged of our participants. And then we also have group and independent activities for those who are able to handle a little bit more stimulating environment. We also offer scripts at like the cash register or the various things that throughout our store. And we have iPads with photos at our cash register, and there's like a photo of everything every product in our store to make it easier to use the cash register and those kind of things. You don't necessarily have to read to use the cash register. You can use the pictures. We also have social skills and customer service classes that we feel are very helpful. But the main thing I think that we do with communication is just that we are there in the community. We teach and model communication by having our participants interact with the community. And we're really very fortunate because we got a very accepting community here in the Berkshires.
Wonderful. That's a very sweet thing to develop when you find an organization in a very small community. So now, please provide at least 2 or 3 tips you would give to help others understand you or how to best support the individuals you may work with.
Well, I would just say to those the people with autism that are looking for employment, the big thing I want to say to you is believe in yourself. You can do it. You put your mind to it, and with the right support and understanding, you can do whatever you want. You really can be empowered to do whatever you want to do in your life. Kind of drop any preconceived notions that you might have and go for it. Have patience and just slow down. To our customers or anyone who might be, going into a store where people with autism are working, I just say and I try to model this and teach this to the customers here in our community, but have an open mind, drop any preconceived notions about what our employees can or cannot do. Just let them shine. Brian mentioned that letting the people shine because they They do. It's such a wonderful thing. One of the most wonderful things about my work is watching our people have purpose and possibility in their lives and watching them shine. And then, oops, 1 second. Sorry about that. And lastly, I think just engage the participants in conversation. They get so excited to, have these conversations with you, and they're so proud. I have some of the people coming off the tea room floor just so proud of something they showed the customer, or a conversation they have. So I would encourage people in the public to, be patient and have be understanding and have those conversations. And I guess lastly, I would just love to refer everybody to our website. We do make all kinds of, in terms of tips, we make amazing products. We have, I loved what you said, David, about that autism isn't just, April isn't just Autism Awareness Month. It's each and every day. But we have a tea called Blue Skies that brews just a beautiful blue color. I've got a little cup right here, but that brews this beautiful blue color. We do all kinds of products, candles and things like that in blue. This one says courage. And we also have a page on our website about just employment resources and things that I think that would have excellent tips for lots of people.
All right. Last question, and I'm going to have to ask you to keep your answer a bit short because we're kind of going above time. So
Okay.
what do you hope to accomplish in the future?
Well, we hope to brew belonging by opening more extra specialties across the country. We're hoping to get some other franchises started, and we just hope to, create more products and be able to really grow our online store to, really keep our people busy.
All right. Thank you for that. So, guests, thank you all for participating in this. It was an honor to interview all of you, and to the audience. I am grateful to see a lot of you. Now it is time for me to give the microphone to Liz once again.
Thanks so much, David. So I'm actually going to ask Cherry to hop back on with me for this assessment. So thanks to our presenting sponsors from Justly, we are going to do a fun ESG assessment with EST. I love that little rhyming thing. So normally an ESG assessment is an environmental, social, and governance set of criteria that it's standards that investors use to determine if a company is socially conscious and if they decide to invest in them. So we're going to do a fun little twist on the ESG assessment with you. So normally E stands for environment, but today it's about enabling success. So can you tell us how Extra Special Teas has enabled the employees to be successful, and how do you know that it worked?
Well, all of our participants have individualized, specialized plans, and we track. They all have goals and objectives, and their goals and objectives are tracked weekly. We have meetings with the staff to discuss those and to keep everybody moving forward. And then we compute them monthly, and we have really great communication with our employees and with their families to really keep things on track, keep people moving along. So that's really how we assess it. And then, once somebody achieves a goal, then we move on to the next goal. And it's just so exciting, to really work with everyone, have everyone on the same page, and see our employees accomplish their goals.
Love it. And so S in the ESG assessment normally stands for social, but today it's about the satisfaction of employees. So Sherry, can you describe the impact that the employees have on the culture of Extra Special Teas, and how long did it take for you to notice a difference of the impact on the culture?
Well, I think, like I said before, that it's just, I think the best part of my job is just watching people shine and accomplish their goals. I had very early on, we had a participant say, when I'm home, I feel like Clark Kent, but when I'm at extra specialties, I feel like Superman. So I think that's what we're trying to accomplish with all of our people. And, you know, everyone's different, you know, so sometimes we see these things like just instantly, you know, almost. We just see them once they are put in this environment where people believe in them, they just, you know, blossom and shine. So it's and I think just surrounding the participants with love and acceptance, it just lets them grow and into their highest potential. And so we've just seen some just really skyrocket. You know, it's very exciting.
Great. And lastly, the G in the ESG assessment normally stands for corporate governance, but today it's all about good business. So, with happy employees and good morale, can you tell us how that has translated into good business for extra specialties?
Well, I'm proud to say that I am in our second location that we just opened in January. And it now has its own tea lab over here. So we now have 4 of our own teas that we've created, and we're working on new blends to do that. We also have our own commercial kitchen, so we're able to produce more gluten-free goods, tea cakes and scones and all kinds of delicious treats, and a lot of the things we sell in our online store. So we're being able to suddenly wholesale our gluten-free products because we have extra, more time and extra space in our own kitchen to make it in. We started with 3 differently abled employees in 2016, and now we have 25.
Wow.
And with the help of foundations like the Doug Flutie Foundation, we hope to open the doors of opportunity to many adults challenged with autism and other special needs in towns across the country. And after 5 years, we have found ourselves financially sound. So it's been quite the journey, but just exciting with twists and turns all along the way, but every turn exciting.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much, Sherry, and thank you for sharing your personal experience with this company. Thank you again to our sponsors from Justly, and thanks, Sherry, for being part of this special ESG assessment with EST. Now I'm going to hand it back over to David for the Q&A section of the night.
Okay, so I am now going to do the Q&A part. Liz or Alyssa will send me the questions that you have. I am kind of on limited time, so I am going to select the questions I'm going to answer. So if I don't pick your question, please hang on to it or write it down and then send me a message, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. So, Alyssa and Liz, could you please deliver a question to me?
Yes. So I tried to chat it to you, but technological difficulties. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask the question, but you can facilitate the answer. So the first question is for Brian. So this question is from Josh Witt. He said, what has been the most rewarding part of the work that you do?
Hi. You know, uh, it actually just happened recently where I took a participant to a concert Friday night, and we were sitting down in seats, and he was having a great time, and he was rocking out and really having a great time. And someone approached me and respectfully asked me about him and asked if he was on the spectrum, and and we talked, and we share, and I think it's a great thing that instead of people like looking at him weird and thinking that like they really accepted him. They really just, you know, he was really accepted, and that's part of the inclusion that I love at the Nicholas Center. That's something we strive for, is that they are accepted. So that really made me feel amazed at what I was doing and what I was helping the participant with. because he told me later that night that he really needed tonight because he had a lot of anger from the pandemic because a lot has happened, for him, and so he needed that outlet, and to provide that just made me feel amazed, you know. So it's little moments like that, I would say.
Great. Amazing. So I will thank you so much, Brian, for that answer. We will just jump into the next question right now. And then David, again, I don't know if you can see the questions. No worries if you can't, but if you can ask the last one. I don't know if you can see them now.
Oh, yeah, so
Okay.
I can actually see the questions. This will be the last one because we're getting close to an hour, and I don't want to exceed the time limit that we don't want to jump into. So, Sarah, if you are comfortable, can you share your husband's work and how did his diagnosis impact you or help you change uh, how he works? Sorry, Sarah, I'm going to have to give you at least 2 or 3 minutes because time is getting a
I'll be
bit close.
fast, I
All
promise.
right.
Yeah, no, he does, and he is self-employed. Which is, I think, been the most important part of our entire journey, is realizing the flexibility that he needs. So he is self-employed as a finished carpenter. He does amazing, incredible work. He does spray paint as his hobbies, woodwork, a lot of other things. So yeah, I think that the diagnosis maybe helped him to better understand how to communicate with the people around him and let them know, like, I am very direct. This is what my intentions are. And I think that with them having a better understanding of it not being like a moody emotional thing, and it's just directly how he communicates, was effective for them to be able to work together.
Sarah, that was wonderful. To the guests, thank you again for being here. I am so happy that I got to interview you. To our audience who made it to today's workshop, thank you for being here. And I am so grateful that all of you decided to come and take your time. For those I am connected with or that my guests are connected with, we understand that if you were unable to make it, don't worry. The workshop will go live under the Flutie Foundation's social media platforms. So that concludes episode 3 of the Flutie Foundation's workshop today. I have been so fortunate and lucky to have been the host. And goodbye, good night, and good wishes from the host, David Sharif.
And thank you, David. Thank you for hosting such an incredible show. We'll see you all at the next episode of the workshop. Thanks.